Welcome back to the deep end. Well, I don't know what time it is for you right now. Maybe you're on your morning commute, maybe you're at the gym.
Maybe it's late.
Yeah, in here, it feels late. It feels like that specific time of night, maybe 2 a.m., where the house finally settles and the street lights are just making that low-frequency buzz.
And the emails finally stop.
The emails finally stop coming in, thank God.
Yeah.
It's when all the noise of the day just stops. And your mind it starts to drift toward the edge of things.
The edge of reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The kind of questions you usually have to push aside because, you got to go to work or make dinner or pay the bills. But
Tonight's different.
Tonight we are grabbing onto one of those questions and we are pulling on the thread.
Yeah.
And honestly, the place we're going is a little unnerving. It's chilling, but in the best possible way. Like a ghost story. That ends up being a physics lecture.
That is a very, very accurate description. We're doing something a little different for this deep dive.
We are.
Usually we're looking at, tech trends or history or some psychological study. Today, we're sort of looking at the architecture of existence itself.
The engine room.
We're going into the engine room.
We are. And before we just slip into the void, we have to do the housekeeping. It's important.
Gotta do.
Just so everyone is clear, this podcast, this deep dive, is distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes. We aren't selling a map to the astral plane, though. By the end of this hour, we might have accidentally drawn one.
We'll do our best to at least sketch the terrain.
So, set the table for us. What is the source material we are dissecting today? What are we looking at?
Okay, so we are opening up the archives. We are looking specifically at session 127. This is from the early sessions, book 3 of the Seth Material.
Okay.
And the date of record is Tuesday, February 2, 1965.
1965. Wow. And we need to give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
This comes from the New Awareness Network. They're the ones preserving all this stuff.
Right.
And look, if this conversation breaks your brain, and there is a high probability it will.
A very high probability.
You really need to go to the source. You can't just take our word for it. But okay, so Tuesday, February 2nd, 1965. We're in upstate New York. Why are we zooming in on this specific Tuesday night?
Because this session, it really tackles a question that I think every single human being has asked since the dawn of time. From the moment we lived in caves to the moment we started living in high-rises, we have asked, what are dreams?
Okay.
And I don't mean the Freudian stuff. I don't mean, I dreamt about a tunnel, so I must have repressed anxiety about my commute. I mean, what is the physics of a dream?
Right.
What is the environment? What is it made of?
Is it just gas? Is it just like neurons firing off randomly while the brain's screensaver is on?
That's the standard model, right? It's all hallucination. It's just brain waste. But Seth, who is the entity speaking through the author Jane Roberts, he drops a hammer in this session.
He does.
He presents a theory that just completely upends our entire understanding of consciousness. He suggests that dreams aren't internal movies. He says they are actual solid locations in an electrical universe.
That is the hook.
Yeah.
That is the thing that keeps me up at night. The idea that when I close my eyes, I'm not hallucinating.
No.
I'm commuting.
You're commuting, precisely. And the implications of that are staggering, because if dreams are real places made of this electricity, Seth then argues that this same mechanism is also how we build our future.
Whoa.
We're going to find out that we might be constructing our lives electrically like a blueprint before we ever even live them physically.
The future you've already built. It sounds like the title of a Philip K. Dick novel.
It does.
Or something straight out of the Twilight Zone.
It really does. But before we get to the really heavy metaphysics, the electrical universes and the blueprints for time, we have to ground this.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I find so fascinating about the Seth Material is the setting. It's not happening in some hidden temple in Tibet,
Right.
It's not happening in a sterile laboratory at MIT. It's happening in a living room in Elmira, New York. It's domestic. It's cozy.
It is. It's incredibly domestic. You can almost smell the cigarette smoke in the coffee.
Exactly. And the context for this specific session, session 127, is actually a bit chaotic for the couple involved, Jane Roberts and her husband, Robert Butts.
Right. Rob is an artist.
He's a commercial artist and a painter, and in early February 1965, he's in the middle of a huge milestone for his career. He's hanging his first one-man art show.
Oh, wow.
at a venue called the Harris Hill Inn.
Which, for a local artist in 1965, I mean, that's the Super Bowl.
It is a huge deal. The pressure is on, so the energy in the house is just, it's frantic, they're stressed, they're busy.
Yeah.
In fact, they missed their regularly scheduled session the night before on Monday because Ray was at the inn hanging his paintings until late in the evening. So this session, the one we're looking at on Tuesday, is effectively a makeup class.
It's the detention session. Sorry we missed class, Seth. We were busy with art.
That's essentially it. But just, imagine the scene. It's winter in upstate New York. It's cold. The windows are probably frosted over a bit. They finally settle down. Jane sits in her rocking chair. She takes off her glasses, which was her little ritual to signal the start, and she enters that dissociated trance state to let Seth come through. And right as she begins to speak, we have an incident.
The cat. I saw this in the notes and I laughed out loud. Willie.
Willie the cat, a crucial character in the entire Seth drama. Rob notes in the transcript that Willie had just eaten, so he was feeling, let's say, spirited.
Full of energy.
Frisky.
Very frisky. He was ready to play. And right while Jane is gone, I mean, she's essentially checked out. Her consciousness is stepped aside. Willie jumps right into her lap.
Now, pause there for a second. If I am channeling a multidimensional energy personality essence, whatever that is, and a house cat launches itself onto my lap, I feel like that severs the connection.
You'd think so.
That's a jump scare. That's a game over moment for me.
Right.
It would certainly snap me out of it. I'd probably scream. But Rob records that Jane didn't even flinch. She was totally unbothered.
No reaction.
None. Rob, however, panicked. He stopped writing. And remember, he's transcribing this whole thing by hand in shorthand, creating the very record we're reading today.
The source document.
The source document. He puts his pen down, he grabs the cat, and he moves him into another room.
And Jane, just waiting.
Jane just sat there, eyes closed, waiting patiently.
See, I love that image. I really do. You have this voice explaining the absolute secrets of the electrical universe, talking about the nature of reality and time. And meanwhile, a cat is just like, hey, pay attention to me.
Time for pets.
Yeah. It really grounds the spooky aspect of all this. It reminds you that this is happening in the real world with the real people and their pets. It's not a sterile lab. It's messy.
It is so messy. Life is interrupting the revelation. And Seth, interestingly, when he resumes speaking through Jane, he's very forgiving about the schedule change. He starts off by saying, there is no reason to blame yourselves if you occasionally miss a session.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Very pragmatic. He understands that, art shows happen.
He's not a drill sergeant. He's more like a very, very patient professor.
No, he's not. But once the pleasantries are done, he pivots immediately to the good stuff. He starts talking about intensities.
Intensities. Okay, that's a word that does a lot of heavy lifting in this session. It feels like the skeleton key for everything else we're going to talk about today.
It is the key word. If you take nothing else away from this deep dive, just remember the word intensities. Seth pivots to dreams, and he says, and I'm quoting here, dreams, having an electrical reality, as I explained, must be decoded to have meaning.
Okay, let's unpack electrical reality. Because usually we have a very binary view of the world, right? We have reality, which is matter.
The hard stuff.
Atoms, molecules, tables, chairs, the microphone in front of me, stuff I can bump into. And then we have dreams, which are fluff.
Yeah.
Thoughts, smoke, imagination, things that don't count.
Right. It's the classic internal versus external divide. External is real, internal is not real. Seth is taking a sledgehammer to that binary.
Yeah.
He says, and I want to quote this exactly because it is vital, you create your dreams in actuality, not in theory alone. You create in actuality a dream universe as real as the physical universe.
As real as the physical universe. That is a heavy statement.
It's huge.
But that implies space. It implies solidity. It implies that when I dream, I'm not just watching a screen. I am walking into a room.
You are. It does. He goes on to say that the dream universe and the dream experience are independent of you in existence.
Whoa, wait. Independent. That's the part I get stuck on. If I dream up a weird house with, I don't know, purple stairs, and then I wake up, usually I think the house just dissolves. It vanishes because I stopped thinking about it.
Right.
It's like turning off a TV.
According to this session, no, that is not how it works. You created it. You built it. But once you build it, it has its own existence. You can't just unthink it.
So it's still there.
Seth says, you influence the dream universe, but you cannot stop a dream experience after you have created it.
That is slightly terrifying.
It is, isn't it? It implies a level of permanence to our thoughts and dreams that we are just not used to. We think of our thoughts as fleeting.
Yeah, totally. It's like 3D printing a sandwich in another dimension. Just because I walk out of the room doesn't mean the sandwich just dissolved.
Exactly.
It's just sitting there on the plate existing, waiting for someone.
It's an act of construction. You are an architect, whether you're asleep or awake. You are constantly pouring foundations somewhere.
So here's the skeptical question, or at least the logistical one.
Yeah.
If I built this castle with the purple stairs last night, why can't I see it now? I'm awake, I'm looking around the room, I see a microphone, I see you, I see the wall. Where are all these dream structures I've built? Why isn't this room just crowded with purple stairs?
And that brings us right back to intensities. This is the physics of it. Seth explains that these realities, the physical one we're in right now, and the dream one you built last night, they exist in different ranges of intensity.
Like radio stations.
That is a perfect analogy, very much like radio stations. Or spectrums of light. Think about Wi-Fi signals. The room you are in right now is absolutely full of Wi-Fi signals, radio waves, cellular data, maybe even TV broadcasts just passing right through you.
Right. I can't see any of it.
You can't see them. You can't touch them. But if you have the right device, a phone, a radio, you can decode those signals into pictures and sound.
So the dream universe is here right now, but it's just on a different frequency.
Correct. Seth says the raw dream experience is composed of electrical patterns, thick only in terms of intensity.
Thick.
Our physical senses, our eyes, our ears, our fingertips, they're specialized equipment. They are tuned to a very specific, very narrow band of data. Physical matter, linear time, three-dimensional space. The dream reality doesn't follow those rules. So to our physical eyes, it just looks like empty space. But to the inner self, it's solid.
So the air around us isn't empty. It's just data we can't read.
It's crowded with realities that we aren't tuned into. It's thick with them.
Okay, so we have this raw electrical data that makes up a dream, a thick electrical storm of reality. But when I wake up, I don't remember raw electrical data.
No.
I don't say, wow, I saw some really great voltage last night. I remember, oh, I was flying on a giant toaster. Or I showed up to high school without my pants.
The classic.
The classic. Where does the toaster come from if the reality is just electricity?
That is the decoding process. And this is where Seth gets really, really technical in a way that reminds me so much of modern computing, even though this was 1965.
Right.
He describes the mind, and he's very careful to distinguish the mind from the brain as a sort of transformer.
Like a compression algorithm.
A zip file. Very much so. Or a zipper. The raw experience of the dream is huge. It's multidimensional. It's simultaneous, meaning it all kind of happens at once. If your conscious brain tried to download that raw file directly, it would just burn out.
It's too much.
It's too much voltage. It's way too much information.
Error 404. Brain not found.
Exactly. Blue screen of death for the psyche. So the mind steps in. It takes this massive electrical storm of the dream and it breaks it down. Seth says the intensities are separated into minute values.
So it chops it up.
It chops it up into little digestible bits that the physical brain can actually handle.
So it creates a user-friendly interface. It dumbs it down for us.
Yes, and that interface is symbols.
So the symbols are the GUI, the graphical user interface.
That is a perfect analogy. The brain receives these decoded signals from the mind and turns them into psychological symbols, images, stories, feelings. So the flying toaster isn't what actually happened in the electrical universe. The flying toaster is just the icon your brain created to represent a very complex electrical event that probably involved movement and freedom and maybe absurdity and domesticity all at the same time.
That makes so much sense. I mean, think about a computer desktop. You have a little icon that looks like a folder.
Yeah.
The folder doesn't actually exist inside the computer. I can't reach into the hard drive and pull out a little manila folder.
Right.
Instead, the computer's just zeros and ones on a silicon chip.
Right.
But if the computer showed me the zeros and ones, I wouldn't know how to open my document. So it shows me a little yellow folder.
Precisely. The dream symbols, the teeth falling out, the monsters, the flying... Those are the desktop icons for the electrical reality you actually visited. They are the translation.
Yeah, and Seth says something really interesting about efficiency here, right? About how one symbol can kind of do double duty or triple duty.
Yes. This is the one symbol, many meanings concept. Seth points out that a single symbol is chosen by the mind because it can convey meaningful data to different parts of the personality simultaneously.
Can you give me an example of that? How does one symbol talk to different parts of me at the same time?
Sure. Let's take a common dream symbol. Let's say you dream of a locked door, a simple image. To your conscious self, the part of you that worries about your career that might represent a blocked opportunity at work. I can't get that promotion.
Makes sense.
But to your subconscious, that exact same image of the locked door might represent security or keeping something private and safe. And to your cellular memory, the deep biological part of you, it might represent a physical blockage in the body, maybe something with digestion or circulation.
So it's one single image, but 3 different departments of the self read it completely differently.
Exactly. Seth says, quote, "One symbol will be meaningful to many portions of the personality. The meanings may be quite different. It's incredibly efficient. Instead of sending 5 different emails to 5 different departments of your psyche, the mind just sends one image, a holographic memo that everyone can read according to their own needs."
That is wildly sophisticated.
Yeah.
It makes the brain look less like some random image generator and more like a high-level encryption machine.
It reclaims the dignity of dreaming, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's not random firing, it's complex communication, it's data transfer.
Okay, so that handles dreams. We build them electrically. The mind decodes them into symbols, and the brain displays them as these weird little movies. But this session, it takes a sharp turn here.
It does.
Because apparently this whole mechanism isn't just for sleeping, it's for predicting the future.
Yes. And we have to look at Jane again for this. In the notes for this session, Rob mentions that Jane had been experimenting with something new. For a while, she was making a list of daily predictions, just trying to guess what would happen the next day.
Like, the mailman will come at 10:00, or we'll get a check in the mail for $20.
Right. Simple, mundane stuff. But Rob notes that her hits, her success rate, were increasing amazingly. She was getting really good at it.
Okay.
And Seth uses this success to bridge the gap. He explains that clairvoyance, predicting the future, uses the exact same mechanism as dreaming.
It's all just reading intensities.
It's all just reading intensities. Seth says, and this is the big one, your creations in the electrical universe may be said to appear as your future in the physical universe.
Okay, so we need to pause on that sentence. That's the sentence of the entire episode. Your creations in the electrical universe may be said to appear as your future.
It's the aha moment. It's the moment where the physics of dreams becomes the physics of daily life.
Does that mean the future already exists? Is it fixed? Is there a script written down somewhere that we're all just following? Or are we making it?
It implies we are making it, but we make it electrically first. Think of it like a blueprint or maybe a wireframe in a video game design. You build the structure in the electrical field first. That's what an expectation is.
An expectation isn't just a thought. It's a thing. An actual thing.
No, and this is crucial. Seth is very, very clear on this. Expectations are electrical realities. When you expect something, whether it's good or bad, you are actually pouring energy into a construction project in the electrical universe.
Oh, wow.
If you build it strong enough, if you give it enough intensity, it gets dense enough to break through into physical reality.
It becomes matter. It becomes an event.
It precipitates into time. And Seth says time isn't a straight line. It's just a measurement of these intensities becoming physical.
Okay.
So when Jane is predicting the future, she isn't looking down a timeline like it's a telescope. She's sensing the electrical intensity of events that are already built but just haven't popped into physical view yet.
She's reading the blueprints before the house is finished.
Exactly. She's picking up the signal of the event while it's still in the electrical phase.
This changes everything about how we view something like anxiety, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. It puts anxiety in a completely new light.
Because if I'm sitting here worrying, just playing out a worst-case scenario over and over again in my head, I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired. I'm not just stressing myself out.
Yeah.
I'm doing construction work.
You are acting as the architect of the very thing you fear. You're building the electrical reality of the disaster. Now, that doesn't mean every single fleeting worry manifests, thank goodness.
Thank God.
Because usually the intensity isn't high enough. It just kind of dissipates. But sustained expectation, emotional expectation, that's powerful stuff.
That's pouring concrete.
That is pouring concrete.
It makes positive thinking sound less like a greeting card slogan and more like structural engineering.
It shifts it from the realm of psychology into the realm of physics. It's about mass and energy.
But here's the rub. If this information is out there, if the future is just sitting there in electrical form, waiting to happen, why are we so bad at predicting it? Why isn't everyone winning the lottery? Why was Jane just getting better at it, but not, perfect?
Seth addresses this head on, and it brings us to the antagonist of the story, or maybe just the overprotective parent of the story, The ego,
The bouncer.
the bouncer, the ego, the conscious self. Seth explains that the conscious self is designed specifically for this reality.
Right here, right now.
Physical reality. Its job is to navigate traffic, pay your taxes, make sure you eat lunch, and keep your body safe from, falling pianos. If it started getting bombarded with raw data from the future and the dream universe constantly, it would be completely overwhelmed.
It'd be too much noise. Too much static.
Too much noise, and frankly, too much truth. The ego likes to think it's in charge.
Of course it does.
It likes linear time. It likes cause and effect. If it suddenly realizes that the subconscious is running this massive electrical empire in the background, building futures, creating entire dream universes, the ego gets alarmed. It feels like it's losing control.
So it panics.
It panics and it closes the gates.
Shut it down. I don't want to know.
Exactly. Security breach. Unknown data entering the system. So if the subconscious wants to give you a tip about the future, a prediction, an intuition, it has to be sneaky. It can't just hand you the raw file. It has to smuggle it in.
I love the visual of the subconscious putting like a trench coat and a funny hat on a piece of information to get it past the bouncer.
That is literally what happens. Seth says the data must be interpreted in such a way that the ego grows not alarmed. So what does it use? It uses symbols.
Distortions.
Distortions. This is why prophecies from people like Nostradamus sound like riddles. This is why your intuition is often a vague feeling or a weird image rather than a clear sentence.
Right.
The subconscious wraps the truth in a symbol that isn't immediately scary or obvious. By the time the ego lets it in the door and realizes what it is, the information is already inside the club.
It's a Trojan horse.
It is a Trojan horse. Seth says, quote, then it is too late for the ego to close its gates against them.
So let's play this out. When Jane makes a prediction, or when any of us have a hunch, and it's slightly off, like, I had a feeling I was going to meet a tall, dark stranger, but I actually just watched a movie about a tall, dark stranger. That's the distortion at work.
That's a perfect example.
Like,
you picked up the electrical intensity of tall, dark stranger, but your mind had to dress it up in a symbol to get it past your ego. The ego might have blocked the raw data of you will watch a movie because that's boring or irrelevant to its survival.
yeah.
Or it might have blocked the actual event from your awareness, but it let in the romantic image because it felt safe or familiar from stories.
So Seth mentions training. What does that look like? How do we get better at this, at reading our own mail?
The training is basically learning to reverse engineer your own symbols. You have to become a cryptographer for your own mind.
You have to crack your own Enigma machine.
You do. You have to compare the predicted event with the actual event enough times to see how your personal zipper works. You start to see the patterns. Oh, every time I dream of a blue dog, it means I'm going to get a refund check.
It's that personal.
It's highly personal. This is why he says there's no such thing as a universal dream dictionary. A snake in my dream means something completely different than a snake in your dream. It's about your associations.
So Seth is basically telling Rob and Jane, keep doing the predictions. The errors aren't failures, they are data points.
Yes.
They are data on how your distortion filter works.
Precisely. It's calibration. You are calibrating your own internal instrument.
It's a lot to take in. I mean, we've covered 1965, art shows, cats, flying toasters, and the literal architecture of time.
It is dense. It's a very dense session. But look at the thread that connects it all.
Connect the dots for us. Let's summarize this.
We have dreams, we have thoughts, we have emotions, and we have the future. Seth is saying they are all made of the exact same stuff.
Electrical reality, intensities.
And our physical brain, the 3-pound lump of tissue in our skull, is just the end-user device. It's the monitor displaying the decoded version of this much wilder, much higher voltage reality. We are living in a translated world.
And the so what? Here,
Yeah.
the practical application for the person listening to this on their commute is all about agency, right?
That is the key. That is why the listener should care about electrical universes. Because it means you aren't just a passive observer moving through a pre-written timeline. You are an active generator.
We aren't just watching the movie, we're running the projector.
I'd say even more than that. We're drawing the frames of the movie. When Seth says, you create your dreams in actuality, and then connects that directly to your creations in the electrical universe appear as your future, he's handing you the keys to the car.
It stops being, I hope the future's good, and it starts being, I am building a good future.
Yes. It requires taking responsibility for your expectations. It's a huge shift. If you are constantly, habitually expecting betrayal or failure or sickness, You are literally funding that construction project in the electrical field. You are paying the workers to build that house.
And then you're surprised when you have to live in it.
Right. Why did this happen to me? Well, looking at the electrical blueprints you filed last month, this is exactly what you ordered.
That is empowering, but it's also a little heavy. It puts the weight squarely on us. It means we have to watch our mental diet, so to speak.
It does. But the flip side of that weight is hope. It means we have the power to change the channel. If we can change the intensity, if we can change the expectation, we can dismantle the negative future before it physicalizes.
Before the concrete sets.
We can stop funding the bad construction project and start a new one.
And I think that's why Seth calls this an electrical reality. It's dynamic. It's not stone. It's energy. And you can always redirect energy.
Always. Nothing is set in stone until it physically happens. Up until that very point, it's just intensity. And you are the one who controls the intensity.
This has been electric. Unintended.
Accepted.
We've gone from a snowy night in Elmira, New York, with a cat, to the very edge of the cosmos.
Just a typical Tuesday in the Seth Material.
So if this deep dive sparked something in you, and I really hope it did, don't just take our word for it. These summaries are great, but the source material is where the magic really is. We are just scratching the surface of what's in the early sessions.
Absolutely. You really need to read the words as Seth dictated them. There's a certain rhythm and a power to the text that we just can't capture here.
So go study the Seth Material books yourself. You can find the early sessions and everything else at sethcenter.com/the-early sessions. Support the New Awareness Network. They're the ones keeping this stuff alive for us, ensuring these archives don't disappear into history.
It's a rabbit hole worth going down, I promise you.
And before we go, here is a final provocative thought to keep you up tonight. We promised something chilling.
Oh, I have one.
Let's hear it.
Seth says we create a dream universe that is independent of us. It exists whether we look at it or not.
Right. The sandwich in the other dimension. It's still there.
So, if you can create a reality that exists without you, are you, right now, just a character in someone else's dream who decoded their electrical intensity a little too hard?
Oh, man.
Are we the dreamer or are we the dream?
I am not going to be able to sleep now. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Get you the next electrical reality.